Good evening, and welcome to another segment with the National Council of Negro Women, the Pittsburgh chapter. And this evening, we have what I think is going to be a very exciting show for you. We have a lot of information to share with you. Our guests this evening are going to be Macaulay Smith, who is our third vice president, Olatobi Omoko, who is the recording secretary, and Elena Gibbs, who is our financial secretary, and Ernestine Taylor, who is our publicity chair. Excuse me. Our first guest that we're going to talk with is Macaulay, who is, as I said, the third vice president. She's the third vice youth president. Macaulay, give us a little bit of background about yourself and why you became involved with the organization.
Hello, I'm a current undergraduate student at Pennsylvania State University, and I was also the recipient of the True Worth Scholarship, and that's really what got me involved into this organization. It all started when I met Ariana, who's been my main contact person into this organization. She really recommended me for this position, and I really found passion for wanting to do it because I felt like it was a really good stepping stone for me to have the opportunity to work with youth directly. And there's a lot of people here that I can have a lot of guidance from to learn how to better do my job. So I thought this would be a very good opportunity for me, and I'm glad to be here.
Oh, we're glad to have you also. And I think we have some clips that we want to show and share with the audience today. And our first clip is going to be regarding our national president, Jeanette Cole, who's going to interview one of our oldest members of the organization. And we're going to show that clip now, and then we'll get back to our guests.
Okay, I want to switch it a little bit and talk about some fun stuff. Hats. So I think you have on a fabulous hat. And one of my favorite hat icons, the civil rights icon, Dorothy Irene Height. Always in extravagant and very ornate hats. I want to ask you, do you have a hat icon? And will you tell us a little bit about what you have on now?
Well, first of all, I am wearing an outfit designed by one of my favorite designers. Her name is Brenda Winstead, and she has been on the mall and very connected with the Will to Adorn. But your question is about hats. And those of us who love dearly Dr. Dorothy Irene Height have to remember that she, while a shero to us, had her own shero. And that woman was, of course, the extraordinary African American woman educator, Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune. Now, I was born in Florida, Jacksonville, Florida. Dr. Bethune, one of 17 children coming out of slavery, founded a school which became Bethune-Cookman College. It is now Bethune-Cookman University. I was very privileged as a youngster to know Dr. Bethune. I mean, literally to sit on her lap. But here's the point. While folk may think that I was totally enamored of Dr. Bethune as an educator, what really turned me on was the way she wore a hat. Dr. Bethune could wear a hat. By the way, she was a very, very close friend of First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt. A friendship that has continued to intrigue me. I'm very interested in friendships that cross lines of difference. Men and women, Black folk, white folk, young folk, old folk, straight folk, gay folk. Theirs was a very deep, special friendship. You may also remember that Dr. Bethune became something like an unofficial member of the cabinet of President Franklin Roosevelt. So when Dr. Bethune wanted to see the President of the United States, she didn't call up his secretary. She called up her friend Eleanor. And she'd just say, Eleanor, I understand the president wants to see me. And Eleanor would go to the president and say, Franklin, I understand you want to see Mary. They had a thing going on about the president of the United States. So Dr. Bethune did have a strong influence on me. My family was very close to her. She and my great-grandfather were the best of friends. He served on the board of Bethune-Cookman College. When he passed away in 1947, she, Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune, delivered the eulogy at my great-grandfather's funeral.
Wow.
So yes, you say Dr. Height, I think you must then say Mary McLeod Bethune. I think you must then think about the Negro Women's Club movement, which is what Dr. Bethune started or helped to start. Now, one more thing. Speaking of Hasidic, Dr. Bethune would often give talks at luncheons of Black women, Hasidic Black women, who would come with their gloves and their hats and their pearls. And Dr. Bethune would come no less with her hat and her pearls and her gloves. But she had a lesson for her sisters. She would often begin by saying, my sisters, you've got to stop playing so much bridge, and you've got to start building bridges back into the communities that you have come from. And then she would use a phrase that has come down to Dr. Dorothy Irene Height, and is still the signature line for the National Council of Negro Women. Dr. Bethune would say, my sisters, go ahead, climb to the very top of your profession. You have every right to be on top, but you must remember to lift others as you climb. And so Dr. Bethune was not only a great educator, she not only gave willingly, generously of herself to her community and to her nation, she believed in service as being at the core of leadership, at the core of living a good life.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for that.
Well, we have big shoes to fill. That was a very interesting clip. And for those of you who are not familiar with Dr. Dorothy Height, she is from Pittsburgh. She's from a little town called Rankin, Pennsylvania. She graduated from Rankin High School, and she's done very well. She did very well in keeping the organization together. And I'm so glad to have our youth involved, because you have some shoes to fill. And I think you'll do a very, very good job. Back to our guest that we have with us is, like I said, Awatobi, Atlanta, and Ernestine. And Macaulay, you're the youth. You're the youth chat with the work with the youth, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. What are some of the things that you're doing right now with them? Do you have any projects going?
Right now with the youth. Right now, we're in the process of creating projects that can be feasible
Very
for
good.
the pandemic.
Good. Okay, I think we have a clip to show of the youth also. And we want to show that now, and then you can tell us about it.
Okay.
And I feel like drunk driving is important not to do because personally I have had a grandma and she was hit by somebody who was drunk driving.
Coming here, if I was doing what I was doing freshman week, I probably would be much worse. Like, the situation that would have happened would be really bad.
And I feel like there's another thing people like, oh, sorry.
What type of liquor they're putting.
Right, and a lot of things like I know it's not a good thing, but at parties, like I have no hesitation, like dipping the color.
Yeah.
I know it's bad, and like I have to, I don't know, maybe I should be doing.
Yeah.
And then they give it a nickname that you have no idea.
Yes. And then when you ask for it, they give you a list of
Like crazy.
Oh yeah, look at the apartments, the whole people left. Everybody got apartments. I had the AC for the whole year. The last week it was so hot. They talking about, oh, you ain't supposed to have no AC. It took you out. I was super like, what you got? It was so. Oh my god! I said so. I didn't have any. But that's inhumane.
Exactly.
What? And I told him, like, please just leave it in there. No, this we gotta take it. I said, I'm hot. Like, freshman year was great enough, but I felt a little bit lost as far as like how to make an impact, but also like balance it all. Just the transition in general, going from high school to college, and like as a Black woman. Yeah, we're at Howard, but we face so much adversity, it's ridiculous. The whole, like, National Council of Youth on Women, like, we're around Black girls who go to HBCUs, so being around Black women who are into their studies, involved in campus, like, it's different. Some people are involved in stuff that, like, you guys have in common. But it's hard to understand the fact people who are like really dedicated to their schoolwork and like really dedicated to community, not just on no fake stuff, for sure. Like this is something you want to do. These people you really want to hang out with. Like being here like throughout the week and see how much fun you all have with each other. Like the exercise was really fun. Like everybody just have a good time and they're laughing and stuff. And that's just it's nice to be serious and also to be able to let the goals off with your people. That's fun.
I think it's about being around like-minded individuals. Like you said, we're all around Black people. Of course, we all have the same mindset, but being around Black women specifically, like doing things that you want to do, being able to serve. Serving is so important. I actually went to church last week, and they were talking about the importance of like serving and like making an impact not just on your campus, but your community nationally, like internationally, whatever the case is. Like I feel like this is a huge opportunity to be able to do that with people who are like you as well. So.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for the programming aspect and the community service aspect. I think that's what I'm really looking forward to, as well as meeting people that I can, share this experience with. So,
That's been my passion since I've been in high school. I love serving my community, and I love just being out there and helping people in any way possible.
and make the events more intimate and bring people closer. And I'm glad that you all got the impression that that is something, because that's what I want to create. And this year we have a really great program director, so we've been having a lot of like fun events.
I didn't realize how much I was going to enjoy it because it really lets me like see what I can do as an individual and within a group kind of, and just kind of like see how I can contribute to the community in a leadership position as well, because it's really good, honestly, the challenge is to be in a leadership position and like, learn, kind of like go out of your comfort zone and like, do more, than you can see yourself doing overall. So yeah, I really love eBoard. I really, got close with the people on eBoard. It's a nice experience.
They were both very, I think they did the first one her friends to eat in my stuff. Like, how do you let your, not you, not her, but her friends. How do you let your friends eat somebody else's food? Hey, you know you're not crazy. I'm like, your food is disappearing, but I don't understand what's going on. And then I heard her say it because someone came to our room. She was leaving. She was like, open the next time. She was like, that's not what means, but you can say something. What?
Oh my God.
Well, like, listen, I could run up to her next to her argument and then we'll have to like she wasn't in the wrong. Like, her, like, I can't do it. I mean, right now, I vibe with her. Is she doing it? No.
So let me advertise the room. You're funny.
Wow, I did not expect her to go there at all.
That was a very interesting clip. Now, Macaulay, you're in charge of working with the youth. Is that correct?
Yes, and it's also my first year
Okay.
in this position.
Okay. What age groups are you targeting?
I really want to do young adults, starting with mid-year of high school to college students.
Okay. And are they being very receptive, the youth that you do approach?
So far we're really in the planning stages. Like with this pandemic, I really want to keep that camaraderie and that group atmosphere that they have. Like in the clips, they seem like they had a lot of fun and they're able to talk face to face. It's really different now, so I'm thinking of more like engaging ways to communicate through like video service, like how we're doing right now, and yeah, just something to keep that friendship going.
And tell us a little bit about yourself and what makes it encouraging you to participate and encourage the youth to participate with NCNW.
Okay, so myself, the reason why I wanted to participate, for example, is I believe I mentioned it before, but I really wanted to build my experience with working with youth because I have a nonprofit organization right now called Volunteer Community Gardeners, and it's just in the building block stages. We work in the community of Pittsburgh towards addressing food insecurity and food inaccessibility, like the lack of grocery stores and stuff. So we work directly with kids, and I really want to use this as an opportunity to get more practice working with youth. And I feel like one way that we could all do that is through community service. So whether that's combining my project with theirs and having them work together on a community issue such as that. But yeah.
And what other activities are you involved in?
What other activities? Personal activities like hobbies and stuff like that.
Yes.
I dance and I also cheered in high school, and I wish to continue that at my university, which is Penn State. And I also enjoy cooking as well.
Oh, okay. And what are you studying at Penn State?
I'm studying chemical engineering, although I might switch to environmental. Yes.
What year are you in?
I'm a first year student.
Oh, okay. All right. And well, what's going on with that now? You're doing classes virtual or you're?
Yes, we're doing classes virtually through Zoom.
Okay.
So
So what are some of your recruiting tactics that you're using to recruit the youth to become involved with your projects with NCNW?
I plan on utilizing social media outlets like Facebook, Instagram to target youth, but I feel like the most effective way is to work directly with a school, like a high school, for example, in Pittsburgh. I feel like if we did that, that would be a guaranteed way of boosting our numbers of youth.
Okay, and are you originally from Pittsburgh?
Yes, I'm originally from, I was born in Virginia, but I'm a Pittsburgh, grew up there in the Liberty area.
Okay, very nice to have you on the show. And our next guest that we're going to talk to is Olatobi. Am I pronouncing it right? Toby?
Yeah, you can just call me Toby.
Okay, Toby. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you became involved with NCNW. Because right now you are our recording secretary, is that correct? Okay. And how long have you been active
Yes,
with
correct.
NCNW?
Actively, it'll be coming up
Okay.
on
And
1
how has
year
that year
in
been for
December.
you?
I think it's been an interesting year. So, a little bit about myself. I went to the University of Pittsburgh and I graduated August 2019. And as soon as I graduated, I started working at
Okay.
a bank, a regional bank. And that's where I currently work at now. And and my journey with NCNW kind of started in undergrad. So the University of Pittsburgh does not have a chapter, but there is a sort of city
Okay.
chapter for undergraduate students. So yeah, so I was talking to my mentor Val Njai, who is also a member, and she had recommended that I join NCNW after graduation, and I just did that because I was very involved in undergrad. I did a lot of things, and I still wanted to be involved in the Pittsburgh community as a whole. I felt like I was involved in the University of Pittsburgh community, but I wasn't really doing anything, and I wasn't doing anything or getting to know Pittsburgh as a community, especially because when you go to a university like when you go to a place like the University of Pittsburgh, I think sometimes they tend to steer you away from the African American communities because there's a stereotype that they're dangerous, but I'm African American and I'm not dangerous. So I really wanted to get to know the Black population in Pittsburgh. I wanted to get connected to them. I'm not from Pittsburgh. I'm Nigerian, but my parents are in New Jersey. So, but I'm currently in Pittsburgh in my apartment.
Okay.
So
was your experience at Pitt was a good experience?
Yeah, I think it was overall a positive experience. There were a lot of learning opportunities. I graduated with 2 degrees, a degree in economics and Africana studies. So I thought it was great from a learning perspective. I did a lot of things. I was president of an organization called RISE for 2 years, where we just helped African American students at Pitt get scholarships. I was homecoming queen. That's not really a thing, but like, I guess that's like a short thing.
Yes, it is.
And yeah, I was also an RA, and that was more fulfilling for me because it was on the ground and I got to see students day to day. And the few African American students that went to Pitt, I could support them in a role or at least help them get the job next year. So kind of lift as you climb, like the video showed.
And RA is?
Resident assistant. So
Okay.
that's when you go, when you go to the dorms, there's like a student leader who's there.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what you did. Okay. Now, how has your experience with NCNW been?
I think my experience has been, it's been positive. It's a really caring community. I would say I was pleasantly surprised because my experience with older Black women is normally that of being tough with me because they want me to succeed. And that's great. But I also wanted sort of a nurturing community as well. And I think what NCNW does well is they're very nurturing, but they also get the job done. And I think those are 2 really big components to making a successful club. I know right now our efforts are kind of steering towards 1, the pandemic, 2, well, not the presidential election anymore because that's kind of already happened. We're just kind of waiting for them to announce the winner.
Right.
But the other one I would say is trying to get younger people to join in because the Pittsburgh, I would say the Rankin area, the chapter here, there's more seasoned people, right? And we're trying to really try to bring in younger women. And I hope to see that demographic grow.
Oh, that's good. And we do need the younger women to keep the organization going.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So what type of accomplishments have you been involved in with NCNW since you've been involved with them?
Accomplishments?
Mm-hmm. What kind of things has the organization been doing that you've been involved with?
Okay. So I would say, because it's my first year, I took more of a backseat role. So I don't when I join a new organization, I think it's best to observe the current leaders and see how they run things. You know, I don't want to. I don't think it's. I don't think anybody would ever want to like join an organization just to say like, oh, here's how I'm going to do things now. I really appreciate the leadership of Dolores and now Ari, right, who's the new president. So that's been really important for me to observe. But I would say right now, as the secretary, reporting secretary, it's allowed me to pay a lot more attention, right? Oh yes, yeah, I did go to the convention. Yeah,
I went. Did you? How did you like that?
So yes, so that
was that informative for you? How did you like that?
Yeah, very informative. I think honestly, I think that NCNW, we have like a lot to offer, and it's just we're just at a transitioning moment where I think we're trying to move to get a lot of young talent. And I think we're on the way, so I'm happy to be part of the journey.
Okay, very good. Glad to have you aboard.
Thank you.
And next, we're going to talk with Elena Gibbs. And I understand, Elena, that you are the financial secretary. Is that correct?
Good evening. Yes, I am.
Yes. So you take care of the money. You take care of the money.
I do. I'm serving as the section's financial secretary.
Okay.
I've been involved with the organization since about 2010. And I really joined kind of in a supportive role. I joined in sort of a supportive role when I came on to NCNW, assisting with the annual Legacy Luncheon that they host every year. And then as I sort of got more involved in the organization, stepped into the financial secretary's role.
And how has your experience been with NCNW?
It's been wonderful. So as I mentioned, I think kind of getting the experience of the Legacy Awards Luncheon, assisting with kind of their program booklet and pulling together kind of assisting with their communications and their online presence was kind of my initial role. And then in the last several years, I kind of have stepped up to help assist with our monthly reports and keeping tracking of our budget and our finance.
Oh, that's good. Okay. And are you involved in any of the recruitment of the youth?
Not as much. So I'm a little bit older than some of our youth. I am a graduate of Hampton University, but I did graduate some time ago. And but my role kind of is really bridging that gap between some of our more seasoned leaders and some of our younger folks to try to bring in women that are kind of middle aged. And I think that's the area in which we still want to keep people involved. We have our collegiate sections, and there's a lot of participation in that realm. And as Toby mentioned, we have some of our more senior leaders who do a great job. But bridging that gap and keeping people involved in their middle-age years is something I'm targeting.
And it's something that's difficult too, isn't it?
It is. It can be.
I appreciate you when you say the seasoned members. And how long did you say you've been involved with us?
So I joined the organization in 2010, 2011.
Okay.
So it's been roughly about 10 years.
10 years, yeah. Okay, very good. We're glad to have you aboard. The next person we're going to speak with is Ernestine Taylor. And Ernestine, I understand that you are the publicity chair for the organization. And so that explain your role a little bit to us, what you do as the publicity chair.
I think you're on mute.
Sorry about that. As publicity chair for the Rankin-Mon Valley Pittsburgh chapter, I distribute information throughout our chapter, mainly by email, about things that are going on not only in our city, but things that may be going on as well as nationally, and events that are going on with our own chapter NCNW, as well as other events going on in the city of Pittsburgh and surrounding areas. I also distribute information to other venues as well. I attend different programs on behalf of NCNW. I was recently a delegate to the national conference for the NCNW that was chaired by Dr. Janetta Cole.
Mhm.
And that was a very, very, very wonderful conference. It was well done. One of the people whose name was called repeatedly was our chapter chair, Ariana, and she is a third vice president with the national, as well as a coach tri-chair with the youth. So that convention was via Zoom, and it was for 3 days, and it was very interesting.
Mhm.
And I also, when I do attend events, such as I was in Washington, D.C., and I attended the memorial service viewing of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and I sent pictures back to the chapter letting them know that I was there.
Oh, okay. I think do we have a caller on the line? Oh, I thought we had a caller on the line. Okay, Ernestine, I'm going to get back to you. And how long have you been involved with NCNW? Did you say that?
I've been involved with this chapter for at least 6 years.
Oh, okay. That's a long time. How long have you been publicity chair?
I've been publicity chair for 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And do you normally go to the national conventions every year?
No, I have been to one national convention, and then this was the second one. The second was the one that was via Zoom just last.
Okay. Oh, you did it virtually.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And do you find it very productive now that the organization is targeting recruiting the youth?
Oh, most definitely. I hope to see our organization really grow. One of the advantages of attending the national conference is seeing what other chapters do throughout the United States and beyond. And I was very impressed. I was motivated more so by just seeing some of the things that they're doing, and just seeing how Black women progress and help and pull each one reach one, as sometimes the saying is said.
So what is it? Each one
reach one.
Oh, okay. Okay. Very good. Well, we're glad to have you this evening. And you mentioned about the convention that Janetta Cole was there.
Yes, she was. Yes, she's our national.
She's the national
president and presided over the entire conference.
Oh, so you got an opportunity to meet her?
No, as I said, it was on Zoom.
Oh, Zoom. Okay.
Yeah, everything was virtual.
Well, I think we have a clip, another clip that we want to show. And this is a clip with President Obama.
We just thought that, one of the wonderful things about celebrating Dr. King's birthday is that the civil rights movement was so recent that we have living history. We have people who participated, who fought, who struggled, some in very lofty positions and are well known, but others were on the grassroots level doing so much to help liberate so many. And we just thought it would be nice to get together briefly and hear from some of our elders. I thought that it'd be nice to kick it off hearing from Dorothy Height. Having known all the great heroes and being one yourself of the civil rights movement, how do you think we were the beneficiaries of all that work should be thinking about that period? And are there some reflections, Dorothy, that you want to share with us?
First, I want to thank you for this opportunity for us to come together, because I think we should never forget what the struggle has been. And we should also recognize the progress that we've made. And of course, you're part of that great progress. It means a great deal to us. And to see the kinds of things that you're working on. I was preparing for a speech yesterday, and I looked through some materials, and there was a statement about Martin Luther King Jr. speaking of violence. And he said, health and hunger are great violence. He spoke of that as violence. And I thought of it. I first met Martin Luther King when I was 15. He'd come to Morehouse College as a gifted student. And I was leading a team from the YMCA of the United States. And as we moved in there, my 3 white colleagues would stay at the hotel, but I had to live with a private family. And I was glad that my mentor and Brad and Dr. and Mrs. Mays took me in. And they invited me to come one night and meet with their favorite student, who was Martin Luther King.
15 years old.
15 years old. He did not finish high school. He was taken in. And the interesting to me was to sit at a dinner table with him and hear this young 15-year-old talk about whether he wanted to be a doctor, whether he wanted to go into law, whether he would go into the ministry. I cannot say that I predicted anything, but I was certainly overcome that he was a young man whose analysis, whose depth of which he looked at each one was just challenging. It made me wonder, why did I become a social worker? Because of the way that he talked about what he'd become. And then to be working with him later in life, at the time of his death, as a part of the United Civil Rights Leadership, was to see so much that had come forward. And I think that today, value in keeping this observance the way you are trying to help us do, and stressing the importance of volunteering and serving. I think if we can quicken that mood, and I was glad the First Lady's helping us to understand the importance of volunteering. I think that's very important, and especially now, with all of the catastrophes in Haiti and around, that we have to do that. So that I think we've come a long way. I think through the civil rights movement, we got the laws. We now need more enforcement. And I think that everything we do now that pushes us to the next step to count upon the younger generation, understanding the nature of the conditions from which we've come and the value of the struggle, but to understand that it's not, we don't have to do the same things, but we certainly have to move forward. And I appreciate your leadership in helping us try to do that.
Well, thank you so much.
Oh, that was very interesting. I never had the opportunity to meet Dorothy Height, but I grew up in Rankin, so I grew up hearing the stories about her. And we were told that she wrote the alma mater, the song for Lincoln High School, and I don't think she ever got credit for that. But she's been a fighter, from what I understand. I heard the stories of how she fought the racism coming up in Rankin. And then she left and went to college and went to DC, and she's been a fighter all her life. So that was a bit. I don't think any of I know you all heard about a lot about Dorothy Height, the younger people. You've heard the stories about her.
I'm not from Pittsburgh, so unfortunately I have not. But
okay.
I think it's nice to hear about it now as an adult, to hear that people have kind of paved the way for us.
Yeah.
I think it's, no matter what age you hear it it's very, it affects everyone.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, she's, Dorothy now gets a lot of credit for the activities and the accomplishments that she was able to do when she was coming up. But like I said, I grew up hearing the stories about her from Rankin. And getting back to Ernestine, the publicity chair, I wanted to talk a little bit about, to ask you to tell us a little bit about of how you publicize our activities in recruitment process.
Mainly through email. I send out, the information to a variety of people, to other organizations. I also am able to do press releases for our local chapter. I have a very extensive media contact list that I'm able to share with others on things that we are also doing. I can say I was blessed to have met Dr. Height on several occasions.
Oh, okay.
I have visited the national headquarters in Washington, D.C., and that building is the only Black-owned building on the entire Washington, D.C., Pennsylvania Avenue. I used to be a volunteer with the NCNW whenever they used to host the famous Black family reunion in Washington, D.C. And through my affiliation with volunteering for that, I was also a volunteer through the NCNW for the Congressional Black Caucus.
Oh, okay.
So I attended many conferences for them. I am also the national first vice president for the National Alliance of Postal and Federal Employees, and it is a labor union that was founded in 1913, because at that time, Blacks were not permitted to join any of the labor unions within the Postal Service. And we were not
able to work there, but not join the union.
That's right. And it wasn't until 1962 when Blacks were able to join the other unions. We have mail handlers and clerks and NAPS and other organizations, yet the Alliance has been going strong since 1913.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So you said that the African Americans were not able to join the union until 1962?
They were not able to join the other labor unions. The Postal Service has quite a few unions. They have clerks, mail handlers, letter carriers, and Blacks were not permitted to join those unions, and that's why the National Alliance of Postal and Federal Employees was formed.
So is it still in existence?
Oh, yes. I still work there. I go back and forth to Washington, D.C. In fact, when I signed up locally in Pittsburgh with the chapter years ago, and that's how I met our past president, Dolores Dupree. We worked. Oh, yeah. So we worked together with that. And then with the National Council of Negro Women, I'm a second generation. My mother, Mrs. Hattie Watts, was a member of the Pittsburgh chapter of the National Council of Negro Women. So when I wasn't involved, I was involved even through my mom.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's good. And I'm glad that we're recruiting the youth so that they can keep it going after we're gone. And we really need the young people to come on board and keep the organization together, because it is an excellent organization.
Yes, it is.
Macaulay, you're the third vice president, I understand. And you said you're just now starting to recruit the young people to work with. And tell us a little bit about, you mentioned your project that you have. It's a gardening project. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. Last summer, we were able to form a coalition between the Carnegie Library of Pittsburgh and a local community garden. And basically, we were able to create these kits that were distributed to ages 10 and up and 9 and under school age people. And with that, they were given a kit that basically gave them the opportunity to create their own seedling from home, along with a meal. The kids that were 10 and up were given a HelloFresh meal kit, which is basically they learn how to cook their own food and prepare it in a healthier manner. And basically more about healthier eating, caring for the environment, and the importance of knowing why they're in that position
And how many youth have you been involved with in doing that? How many kits did you give out? 50. And how did you recruit those kids?
We did that through a newsletter through Carnegie Library, and also mainly through word of mouth and through my current, my past high school, Barack Obama Academy. I was able to send out newsletters, and
so you said you gave the kids
information
kits,
that way.
and they were to, what were they to do with the kids? They grew their own food?
They, for the ages that were 9 and under, they had a seedling kit, so they were able to decorate it, and they would plant their own flower or strawberry plant or carrot. And ages 10 and up were given a kit of prepackaged food that they would make a meal with.
So
like all
what's
the
your next
ingredients to make a
project
meal.
with that group?
The next project this summer, we're still working on it. We're expanding our board, so we're trying to get new ideas and different perspectives on this summer. But we're probably not going to know until the late
What
spring
area are the children
exactly
from
what
that you're working with?
Mostly from the Pittsburgh area of East Liberty, Larmer.
Okay.
Around
Do we
there.
have a caller on the line? No? Okay. All right. And Toby, I wanted to NW, and how are you recruiting or helping to recruit the youth and get them involved?
I apologize. Can you repeat the
Yeah,
question?
I just wanted to
think
just talk to you a little bit more about your involvement with NCNW and how you're helping to recruit youth to bring them into the organization, bringing younger people into the organization.
Right. So I think the one thing I like about this panel is that it's all different age groups, right? So we have someone kind of covering the younger college kids. We have somebody covering middle age. We have people covering senior people. So I think for me, it's more so focusing on recent graduates. I definitely tell my friends about my involvement, but I haven't been able to bring anybody in as of yet. But I'm hoping that with the election and with the current atmosphere, a lot more up and coming young Black professional women are more inclined to join organizations, because there seems to be like kind of a feeling of, oh, what can I do to help? So I really do want to capitalize on this time and this movement to sort of bring in people like me, because I'm 23 years old. So that's like, you just graduated college, you're probably starting a new job, you're probably starting graduate school. So that's kind of who I'm targeting, and that's who I'm hoping to bring in.
Do you find that they've heard about the organization or have some knowledge about the organization or have no knowledge of the organization?
I think it depends on the demographic of Black, right?
Okay.
So I'm Nigerian American, so I never heard about this organization until I talked to my mentor, and that wasn't until I was a senior in college. But in terms of African American women who have been here generationally, they've heard of it. Like the things I hear about when I hear about NCW, I hear Jack and Jill, I hear NCW, I hear like it kind of like they're all in that group. So, you know, my friends from the other parts of the diaspora, like Jamaican, Haitian, African, maybe not so much, but I think that's another strength, right? So we're all unified in our Blackness, and this is a space where no matter what Black you are, you're Black. So
You're Black, yes.
So we're helping everybody. Yeah.
Yes. And we only have like a couple minutes left. Elena, I'm going to get back to you. And do you find it difficult to recruit the youth, or are you running into youth who don't have any knowledge of NCNW? Or do you have any difficulty in recruiting youth to come into the organization? I can't hear.
I believe you're mute.
Yeah. Can you hear me, Alana?
So maybe I can, sure. Can you hear me now?
Okay. Yes. Yes.
Okay. So I was saying that one of the things that the Rankin-Mon Valley Pittsburgh section has been active in doing over the last 2 years was we established a scholarship fund for our youth coming out of college. And so last year we were able to, with Ari Brazier, now our president, she was key in us kind of establishing a scholarship fund. And we were able to send that out to counselors at the schools. And this year, I believe we had 2 award recipients. So that's one of the other ways to recruit youth to be
That's
interested in our
excellent.
organization.
Yes, so. Is this the first year that you did the scholarship?
I think it's the second year that we had the scholarship. It's the first year that we were able to award it to 2 recipients. We didn't have as much participation as we would have liked, but this year it's seeming to catch on with the youth.
And this is something that you'll be doing every year.
Yes, I think we're going to try to do it every year in coordinates with the Legacy Awards Luncheon. It'll be a way for them to get introduced to our organization.
Oh, that's an excellent idea. Yeah, very good. Well, I want to thank all of you for your time and for being involved with NCNW. And I think you said you gave out 2 recipients received a scholarship, and one of those recipients was Macaulay.
Oh, yes, I was one of the recipients.
Oh, okay. So are you still in school or have you graduated?
I graduated, but during my senior year, that's what attracted me to your organization.
Oh, very good. Very good. Very good.
So it sounds like it's working.
Yes, it is. Because she gave her the scholarship, she graduated, and now she's a member. So that's good. And I want to thank all of you for your time this evening. It was you've been very informative, and I hope you've been informative for the audience that's listening, and they'll become interested in joining NCNW. So thank you for your time involved tonight on the show, and thank you for the time that you're giving to NCNW.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. Thank you for moderating.
Yes. It's been very interesting. It's been very interesting talking to you young ladies, and glad to see you guys aboard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.